You're right.
only told differently, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about this little paranormal thing, this little paranormal place that we see for the second time, well, really the third time in history. We see it in 2008 in the Denver Coliseum under a white horse.
Oh.
And this is the replica of the Pergamum altar.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this Pergamum altar is a very interesting place because the Pergamum altar, you would expect to find it in Pergamos, but you don't. Now, in Pergamos was the seat of the pagan culture for many years. And you had, so all of this mythology about the fall of the Titans, about Semiramis, the fertility goddess, about Mithras, the sun god, or Nimrod, the sun god. All of that stuff leaves Babylon and it ends up in Pergamos. And they built an altar for Zeus in Pergamos. And this altar had a particular theosophy, if you will. It had a number of steps. I think there were 10 steps. And at each step, there was some kind of a fallen watcher that was identified on each one of the 10 steps. One of those, of course, is Echidna. And this is the mother of all demons. And she is a woman she's the woman from the waist up, but 2 fishtails from the waist down.
No, Starbucks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I knew that there was something about the Starbucks logo, but I didn't know. I mean, I'm so glad you explained it that way. That is the mother of all demons. Oh man.
The mother of all demons, and she gave birth, of course, to Cerberus, who is the 3-headed hound guarding the gates of Hades. Yeah, real nice when you come in, not so nice when you try to get back out.
Yeah. Oh, the hound of the Baskervilles, for sure. Holy man.
The hounds of the Baskervilles in one animal, right?
There you go. That's right. Oh, this is great stuff, Stephen. You're on a roll. Keep going, man.
Well, this Pergamos altar, they had this statue of Zeus, and Zeus was sitting on top of these 10 levels of demons, if you will, in these stairs. And the outside of this altar had a sculpture that showed the fall of the Titans, the fall of the giants, right? Now, Scripture records the fall of the giants when Joshua entered the land and killed the last of the giants in Bashan and, of course, in Gaza, or where the Pelishtim were living. But there's record that says the other giants, when they saw Joshua enter the land with 1 million men, got on boats and left. And they went out to places like the island of, not Sicily, but Sardinia, the island of Sardinia. Where Steve Quayle and Tim Alvarino have unearthed, again, giant infrastructure.
Yeah.
So and they also came to North America. And so there's records of these giant tombs, these big mounds, if you will, that are in Indiana and Illinois, Ohio, where they have found, again, giant infrastructure, right?
Yeah. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't these giants with red hair, something like that? I remember some kinds of documentaries on the fact that they were like almost Norse-looking hair or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The red hair, which now, of course, my friend L.A. Marzulli was down in Peru. Yeah. And he was taken to some sites. Of course, he couldn't come home with the Peruvian record.
Yeah.
But he could take pictures, and pictures he did take.
Yes, he did.
I've
seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, some of his guides walked him into a cave, and his guide said, "We're going to show you something here, something other than Machu Picchu, right? We're going to show you something here, and what you're going to see is going to absolutely flabbergast you." And they took him into a cave, and they showed him numerous, I don't know, there must have been maybe 40 bodies in this cave, skeletons that had, of course, the very elongated skull.
Oh,
And, of course, the elongated skulls are completely inconsistent with human skulls because the sutures are different.
yes,
In
exactly.
where the skull comes together.
Exactly.
And they're twice
twice twice the volume and all that kind of stuff. So in other words, they couldn't have been just cradle boarded it all to get that shape, right?
not possible.
Yeah.
Not possible. And they all had red hair.
Oh.
And some of these skeletons they weren't really giants, but they were larger than what the indigenous people were. The local indigenous people are short people, between 4'10" and 5'2", 5'4". And these guys were 6'8", 7 foot, some of the full adult ones.
Yes.
So you see that what's happening there is that you have a record here that shows something other than a human species in these caves in Peru.
Oh, yeah.
And the ancient record shows some crazy stuff. Like, I'll give you an example. There's, in the Book of Enoch, it's recorded. It says, the fallen watchers came down on Mount Hermon, which is at the northern end of Israel, right where Israel and Syria meet. Fallen watchers came down on Mount Hermon. But there's a Stonehenge in New Hampshire that shows evidence of a slab where they used to do human sacrifice. Okay, this small Stonehenge. Now, if you go on Google Earth and you say, okay, well, I want to take the distance, and I want to find the distance from the Stonehenge in New Hampshire to Mount Hermon, what you end up with, when you do that on Google Earth, it shows you the shortest distance, right? It shows you a straight line over a round globe.
That's true,
right? And the line that it shows you goes right through the middle of Stonehenge in England.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that. One in the United States there in the East. Oh, man, that's fascinating stuff. Which
and that's
lends you to believe that maybe these same fallen watchers were here in this country as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's exactly right. And not only that, but you also see the fact that these watchers, in this particular case, had a unified technology worldwide.
Right.
Okay, now let's get into some of the more terrifying stuff. There's a very interesting passage in Genesis. I think it might be in Exodus, where Moses gets mad at some people, and he says, "That's it." And they take gold and they put it in the fire until it becomes dust. Oh. And then they make these people drink the gold dust. Now, what is this? Right?
Well, yeah. Well, I remember the golden calf, but I didn't remember the drinking of the gold dust.
Yeah. Now, you know how hot you have to get gold to get converted into dust?
No.
A lot hotter than just melting it into an alloy. Okay?
I'll bet. Yeah.
All right. So they convert it into dust. Now, when you convert gold into dust, under a microscope, it looks like a DNA strand.
No, I didn't know that.
And it has no color. And so you can do the same thing to platinum, and you can do the same thing to silver. And once you do that, this gold dust becomes what's called monatomic. Monatomic.
Oh, is that what that means? Monatomic gold. I've heard of that term.
Yeah. Well, the monatomic gold is very interesting because guess what? When you heat that monatomic gold, it takes on negative weight.
Oh.
That means it floats.
Oh.
All right. Now, you think about the Ark of the Covenant. If you read that Ark of the Covenant and that description, and you try to build it, you'll find out it has a lid that weighs 3,500 pounds, more than a typical car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got those Nephilim on the top, with the big wings pointing towards each other. That's a huge, massive thing. Plus, they had to have, I don't know how many men, pick the thing up with the poles. That's huge.
No, only 4.
4? Oh, okay.
They had 4 skinny Levites, four scrawny, skinny Levites picking this up with wooden poles and walking a 3,500-pound object over desert sand.
Now,
How is that possible?
I interrupted your story right to the fact that you're going to hit the punchline. So the whole idea is this monatomic gold made the Ark of the Covenant box lighter, easier to carry.
That's exactly right. And it would do so because the cherubim on the top would cause static electricity to generate over 100,000 volts into the tabernacle, would heat the monatomic gold to a certain weight, and it would become weightless, and they could walk it.
Oh, so what you're saying? Let me clarify this. You're saying that the angels on top of the ark were actually used as part of a machine to create monatomic gold as well?
Well, yes, the angels have the capability, when exposed, and there have been guys that have done this testing, when exposed to static electricity, will generate an arc between the two cherubim.
Yeah.
And that arc is generated at 100,000 volts.
Whoa. Yeah.
And that 100,000 volts then has the capability of heating the monatomic gold, and the monatomic gold then becomes weightless, and they can pick up the ark and walk it right across the desert.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's fascinating stuff. Stephen, you have studied this stuff for so long and gotten into the details and drilled down on this stuff. This is fascinating. I'm so glad that you're able to share this with my audience, because I know, by the way, before we get too far into this, how can people follow up with you and your YouTube videos and things? Tell us how they can find you.
You bet. So we have a video channel on YouTube called Sefer Publishing Group. And I also have a lot of videos embedded on the website, sefer.net, with my blogs. I have about 300 blogs up. And I talk about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we go into much more detail because some of the stuff is really, really, I mean, some of the stuff, Michael, I have to tell you, and I talked to you a little bit about this before we did this show.
Yeah.
I have discovered some things in Scripture that I'm not at liberty to share. Not right now. Maybe in 5 or 6 years, I might be able to break it and start talking about what's there. But there are some things in Scripture that the rabbis have missed over the years, or they have disguised over the years. And they are absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And with a full knowledge, you'll come to understand that Zechariah Sitchin's and the Sumerian record is not accurate.
Oh, interesting.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you're saying that you need more time to study to get the story down, or do you think that it's just the society and our scholars not ready to hear it at this point?
Our scholars are not ready to hear it. The truth is that by 2020, information is going to be doubling in the world every 10 hours.
Whoa. Yeah.
Because of the advance of AI. When that happens, I'll be able to release this information.
Oh, fascinating stuff. So we need to stay tuned with you and get up to speed here in the interim for sure. Oh, man. Okay, so listen, this is just flying by. We have like 15 minutes left in our interview tonight, and I want to give you free rein now to do whatever crafting you want for the last part of the show in what you think my audience needs to know about your studies in sacred scripture.
Well, I would say the primary thing to know is this. There is nothing about the world and how the world operates that's not contained in Scripture. All of it is revealed. There is a passage in Deuteronomy 29:29 that says the secrets of the Creator are revealed to his sons and their children forever by the observance of every word of this Torah.
Wow.
Now, these secrets are intense. These secrets are huge. And I can tell you that within Scripture, lies the foundation for